I want to thank everybody for continuously coming every single day, listening to the podcast, Affirmations for Recovery. This message is sponsored by Al, the new app for today's working entrepreneur, man. Make sure you download this app in the App Store, OWWLL, and use my referral code, EA. Get you $10, make your first call. Let's go. Let's continue to grow. Again, go to your App Store, OWWLL, and thank me later.
I love it when people think that money will solve their addiction problems. I'm like,
yes. Affirmations for Recovery. This is the podcast. And I talk to people that's in recovery, about recovery, the journey. OMG, recovery is a mindset. It's not a substance, okay? So I want to make sure that's clear. I have to say that every single time. Yes, today I got a special guest, Mr. Nick. Mr. Nick is here. He is in recovery. He's just, as you can see, Stride Motivation. He's going to tell us a little bit more about that. But Mr. Nick, before we get there, tell us who you are, man. Give us the last name. And then, right. Tell me a little bit about you, sir.
The last name is Klingensmith. Okay. And the reason my company and all of my social media is Stride Motivation is because Klingensmith is a mouthful. Yes, sir. It's all right. It ain't just you.
I can dig it. Okay, so Stride Motivation, that's the company, man. Dive in, man. Tell me about the company. What's going on?
So I'm going to go before that and tell you what brought me to the company.
Yes.
In a nutshell, I'm a 4-time cancer survivor. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I've got 10 years of recovery from alcohol. I have 7 herniated discs from 2 different rollover fatality car accidents. I have nerve damage. I have sleep apnea. I went all 12 rounds with COVID. I almost died from meningitis. Terrorists once put a fucking nerve gas bomb threat on my airplane. Turned out to be a hoax, not really relevant to the story, but it's just a drop in there
good
anyway.
Information to know. Good information to know about you.
And in the last 7 years, almost 8 now, I have completed 104 Spartan races. Those are obstacle course races.
Okay.
About 6 major marathons, including Boston, Chicago, New York, and Berlin. About 70 or more other Sufferfest, 5Ks, 10Ks, obstacle course races, stuff like that. And in 2021, I wrote a book called Through the Fire, which is my memoir, the story of the 4-time cancer survivor, type 1 diabetic, and recovering alcoholic who became an obstacle course racer and defied it all. Ooh. And in the last 3 years, now I published that book. I wrote it for me. Mm-hmm. It was wildly therapeutic. Mm-hmm. It was part of my recovery, the ongoing development and ongoing recovery and the mental recovery and the growth.
Yes.
I didn't know if anybody was going to read it. I did very little to promote it. But I knew there was a message in there and that somebody needed to find it. So I put it out there for the person who might need to find it. And it turns out that a lot of people found it and a lot of people needed it. And they told me about it.
Wow.
And so I've had strangers reaching out to me for a couple of years here and there, just telling me how my story resonated with them. And then they would share theirs with me. And so I knew I had something more to give. And so 7 months ago, after a couple decades working in sales and leadership, mostly in the logistics industry, I left my position and I am now a motivational speaker and a mindset and achievement coach.
Man, I got so much to celebrate with you, bro. Like, my people that follow me, they know, recovery is a huge deal to me, man. So everything that you in recovery from, especially the alcoholism, man, that's huge, man. We celebrate those things because one thing about recovery, you have to find ways to celebrate even the littlest things, man. It's something. It unlocks something.
I celebrated 10 years 3 days ago. The story that I told you just before the show was 5 days ago.
Come on, man. I'm impressed. Very impressive. I met this gentleman today. I met him like right now. My production team found him and they were like, you got to get him on. He is Mr. Recovery 101. He has a lot to share. I'm like, and that's what the platform is about. It's about sharing because sharing is caring, right? Sharing is caring. That's how that's how the world goes around. It's by people like you. So I'm very impressed, bro. Very impressed. So tell me more, man. You said 10 years. What's the wildest thing that you've encountered, before you got in recovery? What's the wildest thing you've done?
God, Usually I think about the worst things that I've done, the wildest things that I've done. I mean, I had a lot of good times too.
Yes.
Like most of the stories didn't end in disaster. That's the problem with addiction and with substances is most of the time it's not a problem
Right.
until it is.
Right.
So, I mean, legit one time, drunk, woke up in Canada. Like I was living in Massachusetts, and I know I'm exaggerating a little bit. We woke up at the border because I had to wake up to give the guy my ID. This before you needed a passport. But
But you
my
woke
buddies
up
and I
on
were
the
supposed to
border
go,
of Canada. You was on your way.
we were supposed to go snowboarding, and the guy who was driving, and this is the next morning, the guy who was driving was the only guy sober enough to drive, which is why he was driving, but he didn't know where he was going. And we just told him, we're like, drive for a while. We'll tell you when to take a left. But we all passed out because we've been up all drinking all night. So we
Damn
woke
it.
up and it was like, they're asking for your ID. I'm like, who's asking for our ID?
You missed the left turn at Albuquerque.
Well, at that point, we just said, fuck it, because we weren't going to be able to go snowboarding. So we're like, well, let's have a good story. Just went over the border, found like a shitty hotel, and just literally went to the dive bar next to it, got boxed up, and just drove home the next morning. On the way back, snowboarded for a few hours and went home.
So the reason why I asked the wildest thing, right? Because
that wasn't the wildest thing, by the way. That's just the first one that came to mind. But keep going.
Right. But I'm saying the reason why I ask for stories like that is to show the people, because the people that watch me, man, I'm very intentional in my analytics, so I know my audience. They are the wildest people, right? And and a lot of them don't believe like truly in recovery. They don't think that recovery is possible. It could happen. They don't smile enough, right? So I love that. Like I always got to see people like you. Look, he's 10 years after doing crazy as shit. He's in recovery, and he's rocking and rolling. He's telling the story. He's a motivational speaker. You know what I'm saying? So tell me about the motivational speaking, man. I mean, what do you talk about? Like, I mean, outside of your journey.
It's almost like I wish everybody knew what the journey was just so I could talk about the lessons. But of course I have to share the story. And depending on the audience and depending on the theme will tell us how much of the story and how in depth I'm going to go. But my story is really one of a development of mindset, because for the longest time, I created this victim mindset that it was almost like a persona and like an alter ego for a long time, because I was a child of recovery and addiction too. And for a long time, I created this kind of alter ego, this tough exterior, this me against the world attitude. And it helped. It worked. I was tough. I was self-reliant. I was independent. I paid my way through college. I got away from home. I had a good career. Like it got me a lot of places. But at some point, the thing that got you here won't get you there. And it began to turn on me. Ooh. And it was emboldened because of all the shit that started happening. And then I kept going through, the illness, the accidents and stuff like that. And people started telling me, oh, you're so tough. You're such a survivor, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you've gone through and overcome so much. And I wanted to believe them. But what I've realized, and I realized this actually 7 years ago, this month, was I hadn't overcome anything. Me against the world, and people are going to hate it when I say this, but tough shit. Me against the world is the rally cry of the victim mindset, because it can't be you against the world unless you feel like you've been victimized by the world. And at some point,
say that again. Stop. Pause. We gotta give them a second to process that. Now say it again, because my people need to hear it one more time.
It's tough to swallow.
Yes.
But it can't be me against the world unless I feel like I have been a victim of the world.
Yes, that's deep.
Now, me against the world was tough, right? I needed that for so long. But at some point, man, I'm fighting the whole damn world. And that's what every day became. And I was picking a fight when I wasn't in one. When life was good, when I was making money, when I was healthy as I could be, I was still in a fight. And then you're going to start messing it up. A lot of people, and I did this too, we confuse resilience and resentment. Just because you're angry, don't make you tough.
Right.
And so what I had to do is I had to go through it, and I had to accept that I had been a victim. I had to accept, and this is what I realized to myself, that I had not overcome anything. I had only survived it. And I literally threw a temper tantrum. It was 7 months after I started obstacle course racing. Okay. My life was improving in mind, body, and spirit, literally every way. It was the thing that tied it all together for me, because I was already sober when I started getting active and fit.
Mm-hmm.
I just needed something to continue my development, to continue my recovery outside of my program of recovery. I needed to develop in mind, body, and spirit. And so I found this thing, and I loved what it was doing for me in my life and the way that I felt. And I could see this in the reflection of other people and the way that they treated me. And then it hit me. Sitting at a red light, got hit from behind by a woman going full speed.
Are you serious?
Now, I was in a Jeep that was lifted.
Wow.
So my Jeep got jacked up. I got several herniated discs and nerve damage. The woman who hit me, though, was driving a car. So she boom, catapulted off the back corner and flipped over 3 times. Boom, 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 boom. Straight out of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
She lived that day, but she died about 10 days later. And although all I was doing was sitting at a red light, it's hard to not feel responsible. And so I went home that night.
How would you be responsible?
The last thing that happened in her life was me.
Yep. I get you. I get it.
That's it. I mean, there was nothing in the world I could have done different besides not get out of bed that day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the last thing that happened to her was me.
You just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. The wrong place, the wrong time.
So, of course, it weighs on you. And that same night I go home, my cat of 12 years dies. So I've got severe pain, undiagnosed nerve damage. I feel responsible for this woman's death. My cat died. I literally felt exactly where I was when I first discovered obstacle course racing, stuck to the couch, unsure of what to do next. And I wanted to give up. And I tried. I literally did. I was like, I even said out loud, I quit. I give up. And then the next morning I got up when the alarm went off, and I took a shower and I walked my dog and I went to work. And the next day I got up when the alarm went off and I took a shower and I walked my dog and I went to work.
Consistency.
And then I had to buy food. And then I had to pay a bill. And then I had to do something else. And the next thing you're living your life anyways, even though in my mind, this sucks, I'm giving up. And so I did the next natural thing was I put another race on the calendar.
Come on now.
Even though I was injured and I didn't know when, I said, fuck it. Cause me against the world, right?
Right.
Because I was still me against the world. I hadn't seen this yet. And I was like, well, I'm going to pick a fight. That's what I do. And I was listening to a motivational speaker. I want to say it was Eric Thomas, but honest to God, I can't find this speech again. And I've listened to every word he's ever said. So it probably wasn't him, but it was somebody like him. And he's going on about, you want to be a warrior, you want to be a victim or a survivor, victim or survivor. And I'm thinking to myself, what's the fucking difference?
Right.
What I've been a survivor my whole life. You can't be a survivor unless you've been a victim.
Come on, man.
Otherwise, what are you surviving?
Come on.
So I said, you know what? What's the value in this? What is the value in just holding on and being a survivor? Is that why we exist? To just get our asses kicked until we die? Like, what's the point of that? Life is fuck that.
Man.
I'm here to thrive.
That'd be a horrible life.
What's it? Yeah. And the
Right?
fact is, most people choose that because at that moment, that's when I realized I had been victimized. It's okay. When you're mugged, you've been victimized.
Right.
A week later, if you're still moping and not going to work and not living your life, and a week later, whatever, I don't care. Take however long you need to get over it.
Right.
But at some point, you got to make a decision that I am not going to let that person take anything else away from me.
Come on.
So outside training, I threw a temper tantrum out loud and I was like, I'm here to thrive. Because of that, I am not going to be a victim. I refuse to be a victim. I will not be defined by my circumstances, but rather my triumph over them. And I made a decision at that point that I will no longer be a victim to my circumstances, to situations, to people, to attitudes, to my own mindset. Doesn't mean that bad shit won't happen, but I am going to make a decision to not stay in it.
Come on, man. I want you to say that one more time for the people in the back. You're not gonna make a decision. What? Say that again, man, because I need that one more time.
At some point, we have to accept responsibility for
Yes.
where we're at, not blame, not fault,
Yes.
responsibility
Yes.
for who I am, for where I'm at, what I do now, and realize that it is our decision to not stay in it.
Because shit happens, guys. He is telling you firsthand. He's a survivor. He's been victimized, and he's a survivor. In order to be a survivor, you had to be victimized. I love it. I learned something today. I mean, I learned how to say it, better. Because as a speaker, I take the long route a lot. Just because my audience, I feel like they need a little bit more than that. But you just gave it to me sharp. I love it. I appreciate that too, man.
Well, I'm
So
just hoping they can buy the book for the story, so I'm just giving you the bang today.
where's the book? Where's the book at, man? I mean, is this knowledge that you're talking about? Is this also in the book?
You know what's funny? The book tells the story of everything from when, a lot of the stuff that happened to me, a lot of the stuff that I went through, and then a lot of the changes that I went through from when I started obstacle course racing.
Mm-hmm.
But the events of the book end 2 years after I began. The events of the book end in 2018.
Okay, yeah. So that's a long time
So
ago.
that's just what I knew then. And so I highly recommend anybody who's going through it,
Yes.
who wants to get through it, who wants to recover from it. That's why the book is called Through the Fire.
Yes.
Because without getting in an obstacle course racing, you literally jump through fire to finish the race. But it's coming through the other side. And I will tell you, one of the most eye-opening, liberating things that I ever did was write my book. It was like journaling to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because writing it was one thing, all right? Writing it was the bullshit. That story that I told you before the show had 400 excuses written into that chapter when I first wrote it. But then I had to revise it. So the first version of the book was 125,000 word mindless manifesto, all right? It was like an ego version with Jake Gyllenhaal and The Rock on the cover. Now, I then had to revise and just cut and cut and cut. And I wanted to make it as short as I could. So I cut anything that I didn't think really belonged, including all the lies and the justifications and anything that presented me in a better light than I needed to be. Because the fact is this, nobody's going to give a shit about who I am or what I do if they don't know who I was. And so I needed to be honest about who I was. And through the course of revising the book, you begin to see everything in a different perspective. You see your relationships, your decisions, you see the patterns of it all. And so I've been just seeing and almost extracting these lessons and ruminating over them over the last several years. And then I've turned and taken them into a practical application of both my personal and professional lives. There is a process to overcoming obstacles. And it's the same thing if I'm trying to jump over an 8-foot wall that's covered in mud, if I'm trying to get over a job loss, a family loss, an injury, or recovery from addiction, or recovery from anything. There's a
recovery's recovery 365, right?
100%. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I don't think you can do just one thing. I don't know I can't speak for everything, right? But there's nothing that's impacted me ever that has only impacted one part of me. If it hurts me physically, it hurts me mentally, it hurts me spiritually, it hurts me emotionally.
And financially sometimes.
Hell yeah, it is financially. Like when I broke my rib a couple years ago and I fractured it in an obstacle course race, I actually fractured the cartilage. I had to go to 2 ERs, 22 different orthopedic doctors before I could finally get somebody who would even get me a damn MRI. Because they're like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, the fuck it doesn't. I need to find out what I did so I don't do it again. But I mean, that was $1,000 in emergency rooms. Like,
wow,
shit adds up, like.
Yes, sir.
But I had to know because I needed to know how can I recover and how can I not repeat what I did to get here. So that knowledge is so critical. And that's why the self-awareness and journaling, which is basically what writing my book was, just journaling over and over and over again. When I work with clients one-on-one now, the very first thing I do is I make them get a journal. The very first thing I do is I start having them journal thoughts about their future.
And I'm an avid journaler. I part of Affirmations for Recovery. That's exactly that's how it all started. I released a book, a publication, a journal, an actual work publication for people in recovery, new to recovery, where I took um, negative words, what I would call negative words, and and I put a different spin on them. I put an affirmation to it, and it's an acronym, and then it allows you to journal. So affirmation. Speaking of it, here it is. It's actually, this product is exclusively on Amazon. Okay, we definitely get it Amazon, and then shortly, I would say in the next couple of weeks, because I don't like to say dates on the show, just to save just in case the show don't come out for a whole year, right? So I don't like to say dates, but soon I have another follow up to this actual book. It's the actual guide to the actual journal. It breaks down the words daily, and it gives you an actual message for the day. I'm all about empowerment, and I'm all about consistency. In order to do anything in recovery, whatever you're doing in recovery, you got to be very consistent. You got to be disciplined, and you got to allow the time.
Do me a favor. Take the word recover. Take the word recovery out of what you just said and say it again.
Okay, say that again.
Take the word recovery out of what you just said and say it again.
Okay.
In order to do anything,
in order to do anything,
you need to be consistent and disciplined.
yes, he's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Absolutely. Anything in life, especially if you want to add success to the equation. Now, you can do anything in life and just do anything in life. That's also an option. But if you want to be successful, you want results, you want perseverance, then there's a few ingredients that's in every pie, right? Discipline, accountability, consistency, and time. You got to give yourself time. You got to give yourself the space for the growth.
Yes. I was looking at my whiteboard that I have in my room here when you were saying that, because I have basically like 5 steps to resilience that I follow every day, and I talk about these, and they're encompassed in this. I talk about your purpose drivers, your why. Yes. Why am I doing this? Yes. Aligning what you're doing with why you're doing it. 2, accepting your starting line.
Come on, man.
And I'm just going to give an example that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it does. I am an adaptive athlete. Mm-hmm. I may race competitive, but I'm a type 1 diabetic. I have further to go to the starting line than other athletes do.
Absolutely.
And I could bitch about it and say I can't do it, or I can just simply accept that my starting line's a little bit over here, and then I have other things that I need to do to prepare. It's the cost of doing business, accepting where you are. But then it becomes priorities and discipline, because once we get firm on where we are, let's determine where we're going. And I was thinking about that for a second about recovery too. And I follow too many idiots on Twitter, and it should never get a negative connotation. Like you understand that day one is a course of self-improvement. Like, you're not a bad person. We're not on the side of the road, like digging ditches here. We're sick people getting well. We're
putting in the work.
Every single day for the last 10 years and 3 days has been a fucking victory, and a big one. Man. And it's like a domino effect, and they get bigger and better every single day.
Man.
And that's common through that consistency. It's like recovery almost, you recover for the first day, you start thriving day 2.
Yes.
What other area of the universe can you be dramatically better than you were 48 hours before?
Come on, man. Come on. Hey, that's real. That's real talk. Like, recovery is the first day. Like you said, that's where it all starts. It starts with the accountability. And then when you wake up day 2, doing everything you did in day 1, shit, that's where the victory is. I love it. I love it. That's a simple way. Effect. That is definitely a simple way to look at it too. Because people are, like this a lot. Like, people are a lot, they don't understand, what it really takes to recover. Recovery, again, is a mindset. It starts here. It starts in the thoughts. You can't buy recovery. And you can't buy recovery, no matter how powerful, how much money you got, how much da-da-da-da-da. You have to work. That's one of the only things in life that requires work is, recovery. You have to put the work.
I love it when people think that money will solve their addiction problems. I'm like, right. Says the dead actor.
Yes.
The dead musician. Says the other famous person who just swallowed a bullet last night. Like, that just gives you access to better drugs.
Come on, man.
That's all that money does.
That's all it does.
It,
Better relationships, better bullshit, better everything, But
I'll
you
tell you
gotta
what, the wealthiest
work.
I ever was, and I don't know if I'd use the word wealthy, but the most well off I ever was probably at the height of my addiction.
Yeah. I mean, that's when you were, because you always found the resources to get what you wanted, and you was always able to get more and more and more and more. You got to be at the riches. Like,
You
people in
start
recovery,
demanding and expectations, and
people that accept recovery are the most resilient people on earth. They make the world go round. If you really sit back and think about it, like everything that you just mentioned, you're a cancer survivor, you're diabetic, and you're still doing one of the hardest things. I'm fully healthy. I can't do what you do. Right? So that just lets me know, anything's possible in life when you choose, when you make the actual choice to do it and put the work in to do it. Because I know you put in a lot of work to become a freaking obstacle course guy. I mean, you know what I
I do,
mean?
but I want to make something real clear. There's nothing I do that you can't. And there's nothing I do that somebody listening can't. I want to make that abundantly clear. I am not an elite athlete. I am not a professional athlete. My first day started with a 2-minute jog followed by a 1-minute walk, repeat 3 times. That's what I started with. Worry
Now
about
where you
tomorrow.
at? Now where you at? Because that's a great start. Now what you doing?
I mean, everything goes in cycles and phases, but right now I'm running about 30 to 40 miles a week. I'm doing probably 2 hours of climbing, meaning stairmasters, incline trainers. I'm doing 2 days a week of strength training. Sometimes that might be more rehab or run specific. Sometimes it's more like CrossFit type of exercises. And I'm doing recovery work every day.
Every day, consistently.
Every day I'm doing different massage tools. I am doing 25 to 30 minutes of stretching and meditation every night. And I mean, every night.
So I got $1 million question for you, because I think the people need to hear this, right? Because you're awesome. Everything you're saying is awesome, but let us know, how do you, on those days you don't feel like doing shit, how do you push through those days?
Same way I pushed through the other days. You just do the
do it.
fucking work.
Just do
Now,
it.
I'll tell you what, this is one of the things I like breaking down. I call it break things down to the wildly specific and stupidly simple. All right. When you are setting a goal to take that leads you into activity that you may not want to do, I break down the steps into the dumbest possible things. And I set up as many of them as I can so I can get as much momentum going before I have to make a decision. So when my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, feet on the floor, that right there is how I win the day. Because I'm not Superman. I want to go back to bed a lot of times, and some days I do. But if my feet on the floor, I win. So I immediately, whether I want to train or not, and I don't, because come on, I'm 45 years old. The first thing that happens when I stand up is I know that I'm 45 years old. So I walk out to the kitchen, press start on the coffee, take my pills, let the dog out, pee, go get my coffee. I say my prayers. I meditate and box breathe for 5 minutes. I'm already on the ground. I roll into a cat cow. I have a YouTube playlist of shit that I'm always watching, whether it be
positive
podcasts,
but it's shit that empowers you.
Vibes, like whatever I'm rehabbing that day. And at that point, the first decision I have to make, I'm already working out. I'm already doing it. But the thing is this, I set really big goals, and my goals don't give a shit about how I feel.
Right.
And I set the goal, and there's no room for fucking around. I don't set small goals.
Right.
So I set goals that are inherently designed to fail. Like if you set a goal that you can achieve, you set a shitty goal, because then it's okay. You can negotiate with yourself. I want to go back to bed. I don't want to do it today. Well, fuck that. My feelings. I'll tell you what, I don't feel like going to my meeting, or I don't feel like talking to another alcoholic or doing my other recovery tools today. Oh, good. Go get drunk instead.
That's the only other alternative.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, go get drunk and see if you can't kill some people while driving. Let's do that instead.
Man, you are powerful.
I don't want to do the hard things. Well, I'll tell you what, bro, there was no harder time in my life than when I got thrown out of that hotel in Vegas. I had to wake my girlfriend up, spin some story about why we got thrown out,
Mm.
It was 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. We had to find another hotel room. I was too drunk to live. And I don't care what you see in the movies. They do not let you sleep anywhere in Vegas. They will know. They will wake your ass up. And
Right, right. Oh yeah.
I was facing losing my relationship, my friends, my job. There was nowhere for me to hide this time, and I hated myself.
Mm.
You don't know what hell is until you've been an addict.
Mm.
Until you've seen that last moment where you're like, I only see one way out of this.
Mm-hmm.
That
Death.
was the hardest shit I ever did. And I don't want to go back there.
Mm-hmm.
So when I set big goals and I set things on achievement, again, I'm not perfect, but I don't wake up to run. I wake up to achieve the thing I want to achieve.
Man, I'm a fan. You made me a fan, man. People want to follow you. How can they follow you?
I am everywhere on the internet at Stride Motivation and on my website at stridemotivation.com. I don't know when, I know we're live now, I think, but when other people may see this, the new book, Selling Inspired, a mental endurance guide for enduring sales performance, will be on Amazon.
Yes. Wait, you not on Al?
On what?
Al. Have you heard of Al?
Maybe, probably not. I don't know.
Okay,
There's a
so
lot of
this
things. I
this is one of my main sponsors, guys. OWWLL. It's in the App Store. Okay, it's mandatory for you, Nick, Big Nick. You need to be on Al today, bro. It's for today's working entrepreneur. It's a great app. It's a great community of people that are like-minded people. Like so, the long and short of it, people call, when people talk to you, they pay you for your time. It's broken out in 10-minute increments. So if like let's say I called you and you charge $5 for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I can request more time or whatever it is. I've been on the app about 2 years and it's been a game changer. I've been all over the country. I've
Interesting.
been speaking all over the country. I just did a show in Montreal, Canada. I met the gentleman on Al. You gotta look at it like it's for me, it's like-minded people. Okay. Anybody that's willing to call you and pay you for your time, even for 10 minutes, those people are more apt to support you all the way down the road. And it's proven. Like if you once you get on Al, 'cause I'm gonna speak it into existence. Once you make it to Al, once you download the app, use my referral code EA. It's real simple. EA. That allows you access to that gives you $10 to use to call whoever you want to call, just to kind of sample the app so you can see how it works. But I'm telling you, bro, with the stuff that you just told me today, you're just the way you speak, you have good energy, man. People will call you just for your energy. You know what I'm saying? I'm a counselor. I'm a licensed clinician. I'm out of the state of Oregon. I don't do no counseling on the app, but I'm one of the highest uh, people on the app. When you get on, you'll see my profile. I probably, as far as males, I got probably the highest call volume. There's some females on there that's killing me, but you know that's just the way it goes. But OWWLL is in today's. It's for today's working entrepreneur. I need you on there today. It's not. It's not a. It's not. It's not an option. I need you on there, bro. You're like what we built the app for. You know what I'm saying?
I will check this out today.
Check it out, bro. And remember the referral code EA because it's like you gotta, put
I ain't
in a
gonna
lot of.
forget that one.
Yeah, you can't forget that. It's every day, all day. That's how I move. That's why I go by EA. It's because that's my attitude. It's also my initials, but that's the kind of attitude you gotta have to work on the front line. You got to have an everyday, all day attitude. So I just said, man, it's easier, faster. EA me. Yes, EA me.
Nice. I like
Okay.
it.
So for my fans, man, any final words for the fans?
You know what? One day at a time is how I do everything. Um, there's
Ooh,
hundreds of medals behind me. It started with one. I didn't sign up for hundreds of races. I signed up for one.
yes.
I got sober 10 years and 3 days ago, and I'm still living one day at a time. As an entrepreneur, one day at a time living has saved my life more times than I can tell you. In my marriage, one day at a time living has helped save me. In relationships, financial issues. Where am I at right now? What do I need right now? The present is the only place I need to be. I remind myself of this a few hundred times a day sometimes, and it works for every area of my life. We don't need to look down the calendar. We just need to do today.
Man, Nick, are you a podcaster too?
I'm just a guest, a speaker, and a coach.
You need to be a podcaster. I do a daily show, Affirmations for Recovery. It's on streaming on all platforms. I do like a 3 to 5 minute word of the day just to kind of like motivate the people. I'm very successful at it. And it takes one to know one, right? So I'm telling you, just like the owl thing, you're meant to be in that space, bro. One thing about it, if you decide to do it, it takes exactly the same ingredients as you have for everything else. It's going to take you a daily plan. Like your the people that start listening to you, when they follow you, they want you every day. You know what I'm saying? And I can see myself being one of those people because you're very inspiring, bro. You went through a lot and you still going through a lot, but you don't look like nothing you've been through. You look amazing, bro. I couldn't tell none of that shit that you told me. I would think that you normal Joe. That's Joe right there. But his name is Nick. But he's a normal Joe. But you got a lot of bullshit that you survived, and salute you for that, bro. I take my hat
Appreciate
off
you.
to you and give you your roses while you still living.
Well, I think we all have our own frame of reference, and I found a way to take the power back in mine and to use it to help others, and I think that's something that can be available to everyone else too.
Yes, I'm encouraging you, man. Two things, Al, for sure, and then start up podcasting. I would love to help you any way possible. I know we just met today, bro, but we got to stay in touch because we're brothers
Definitely.
of the same. You know, everything that you were saying, bro. If you really follow my movement, you'll be like, damn, bro, I said all that on his show. That's the same thing I said. You say it a different way, but it's this. It actually is the same bottom line. Like my daily practice is the same as yours. I wake up, I start with prayer first. Like when I open my eyes, I'm sitting right there, I'm talking to God. Cause that for me produces a smile. I need a smile before I can talk to anybody else. I gotta smile. I gotta feel that energy of being happy. I don't know, something about that because from there, that's the path that I'm following all day. Like after I pray, I got my meditation cycle, and then after that, I got my music playlist. You know I use music as a therapy tool too. I got a fabulous playlist of just songs over the years, over the generations that give me energy. And then from there, I do a lot of groups. I do a lot of groups virtually now. So I'm in group after group after group. I'm podcasting, but everything is designed to keep me in my happy place. Okay. So this is the same thing. I had a great time talking to you today, bro. This told me that I can do this more often because how we met was just 2 minutes before I pushed record. I met him.
Yeah.
He was perfect. He was perfect for the audience. I want my audience to know. I want my audience to follow him. So make sure you send me all your information, all your good. I know you said Stride Motivation on everything. You got a website?
StrideMotivation.com.
Damn it! And so how are you looking for clients? I mean, what's your ideal client?
Right now, I am focusing on one-on-one coaching clients. I'm always looking for speaking opportunities, but in terms of the business, I'm looking for one-on-one coaching opportunities,
Okay.
specifically achievement-driven professionals who have likely found some success or went through a transition and now find themselves a little lost, stuck, or unmotivated, unsure where to go next.
Okay.
I help those people get clarity behind their goals for the next phase of their lives
Yes.
and then break them down into wildly specific and stupidly simple action steps and get them started.
I love it. And you make it fun. I can just feel the energy. You make it fun. That's the big part of life. You got to find a way to have fun. That's why we do drugs. That's why we do all the things to help us feel good. We want to feel good. We want to have fun. And I can just tell the type of person you are. You have fun with everything you do.
Working on it.
Yes, working on the hill. You're a doer. You're in the Doers Club of America. This is a Doers Club of America right here. All my fans, they know that we do not try. There's two things we don't do. We don't try. We do here. Okay, it's all. We don't even use the word try. If I catch people using the word try, I'm stopping them in mid sentence, and we're finding another word together that brings more clarity to what you're doing. Because trying is for triers, okay, and doing is for doers. And I only work with doers, me personally, because I'm a doer. That don't mean I don't fall short. That means that my attitude is always willing to do. I don't try shit. That's for triers again. So I appreciate you, bro. We can go on and on and on. That's how I'm connected. I like your energy, man, and I love to talk. So shit. Make sure you come back. I want to see you back here if not every month, I would love to talk to you every 3 months just so I can support you and, get people, seeing you. Because my community, one thing I know about my community, man, one, it's too close to none. They want to see you again. They want to see how you persevering, especially if you expect us to support you. That's how we want it. So you already got the link, man. Put yourself on the calendar from anywhere from 30 days to, 90 days from now. Let's just
Sounds
go from
good,
there.
brother.
That good?
Yeah, man, I like it.
Yeah, so guys, I appreciate everybody that comes, that supports Affirmations for Recovery, man. I just could not do this without you guys. Remember, support is an action word. Success is a team sport. And all of us, we're on the same team, man. Pushing the narrative of recovery. That's my life's mission. And I appreciate all of you for helping me with that. I appreciate it. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Let's go.
Post-production is done with care by Ocean Tree Creative.